Chapter 2. Seeds of Doubt. The first week of married life in the royal palace felt like stepping into a beautiful but suffocating cage for Orm. The chambers were luxurious beyond anything she had ever imagined. Silk sheets, marble floors warmed by underfloor heating, wardrobes filled with gowns that cost more than her family's entire farm could earn in a lifetime. Servants bowed when she passed, addressing her as Your Highness or Consort Orm. Yet every night when Ling returned from council meetings, strategy sessions, or endless paperwork related to her upcoming coronation, the bed felt too large and the silence too heavy. Orm missed the simple sounds of home, her mother's humming while stirring soup, her father's quiet chuckle as he mended tools, and Nop's endless teasing. The loneliness gnawed at her more sharply than she wanted to admit. On the 8th morning, after Ling had left at dawn for a meeting with trade envoys, Orm made her decision. She found Queen Neen in the smaller sunlit parlor, reviewing documents with her advisors. The former queen looked up with a knowing smile. "I wish for my family to move into the palace," Orm said without preamble, her voice steady despite the flush of embarrassment on her cheeks. "I feel lonely when Ling is occupied with her duties. They can have quarters near mine. They won't be a burden. I promise they will stay out of the way." Queen Neen studied her for a moment, then nodded graciously. "Of course, my dear. A consort should not feel isolated. I will have the West Wing apartments prepared immediately. Your parents and brother are welcome here as long as you wish." By afternoon, Koi, Ming, and Nop arrived with their few belongings. The servants had already furnished their rooms with comfortable beds, fresh linens, and even a small sitting area overlooking the gardens. Koi's eyes widened at the opulence, while Ming bowed repeatedly, overwhelmed. Nop, however, grinned like a child in a sweets shop, immediately poking at the velvet curtains. That evening, after a quiet family dinner in Orm's private dining room, Koi pulled her daughter aside while the men were admiring the view from the balcony. "Orm, my sweet girl," Koi said gently, taking her hands, "you are a queen consort now. This anger you carry toward Princess Ling, it will only make your life harder. She chose you when she could have had any noblewoman. She has been generous with us. Try to be less stubborn. Stop contradicting her at every turn. Give the marriage a chance to breathe." Ming nodded from across the room, his kind face earnest. "Your mother is right. We raised you to be strong, not bitter. The princess seems to care for you in her own way. Don't push her away out of pride." Nop smirked, leaning against the doorframe. "Yeah, sis. Stop acting like she dragged you here by the hair. You blush every time she looks at you too long. Just admit you don't completely hate being her wife." Orm crossed her arms, jaw tight. "She bought me, mother. Like a horse at market. Paid gold for my body and my future. I will be dutiful, I promised that much. But I won't pretend this is a love match. She owns me on paper. That doesn't mean she owns my heart." Koi sighed but didn't press further. The family retired early, leaving Orm alone once more with her swirling thoughts. The next morning, during their usual garden walk, now a ritual Ling insisted upon even amid her busy schedule, Orm brought up another request. "My childhood friend Chen is a skilled knight," she said, keeping her tone neutral as they strolled past blooming rosebushes. "He has protected our village for years. He is loyal and capable. I would like you to give him a position here in the palace guard, something honorable." Ling paused, turning to face her wife. The morning light caught the sharp angles of her face, making her look every bit the future queen. "Chen? The one who always lingers near your family's farm? I have seen him. He seems competent. I will grant your request and assign him to the Royal Knights. But I must warn you, Orm, I believe he harbors romantic feelings for you. His eyes follow you too closely for mere friendship." Orm laughed, the sound short and dismissive. "That's ridiculous. Chen has been like a brother to me since we were children. He taught me how to hold a sword properly and shared his bread when times were hard. There is nothing more. You're imagining things because you're possessive." Ling's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. She reached out, tucking a stray lock of hair behind Orm's ear. "Possessive? Perhaps. But I see what I see. Still, if it makes you happy, he will have the position by week's end. Orm nodded, ignoring the flutter in her chest at Ling's casual touch. Thank you. Unbeknownst to them, in a shadowed corner of the palace corridors, Lady Mint and her daughter Mon were already weaving their own plans. They met in Mint's private chambers, doors locked and voices low. This peasant girl is an insult to our bloodline, Mint hissed, pacing. If we can drive a wedge between them, Ling will eventually turn to you, Mon. We need to plant seeds of doubt, make Ling question Orm's loyalty, and make Orm feel even more trapped. Mon smirked, adjusting the neckline of her gown to sit even lower. I can handle Ling. A few well-placed touches, some whispered promises. She'll remember what real passion looks like. As for the farm girl, her precious knight friend is clearly in love with her. We can use that, spread rumors, arrange accidental meetings, make it look like Orm is seeking comfort elsewhere. If Ling catches even a hint of impropriety, her pride will do the rest. Mint nodded. Start small. Invite the knight to the upcoming ball as part of the new guard. Then we begin. Ling announced the grand ball 2 days later during dinner. I am hosting a formal introduction for my consort. The nobles, ambassadors, and key families of the kingdom will attend. It is time they meet Queen Consort Orm properly and understand that my choice is final. Orm's stomach twisted with nerves, but she lifted her chin. Fine, I will attend as required. The night of the ball arrived with fanfare. The grand ballroom sparkled under thousands of candles and enchanted crystal lights that floated gently near the ceiling. Musicians played soft melodies on harps and flutes while servants circulated with trays of wine and delicacies. Orm descended the grand staircase on Ling's arm, and the room seemed to hold its collective breath. She wore a stunning gown of deep sapphire silk that complemented Ling's royal blue and silver attire. The dress hugged her waist before flowing into elegant layers embroidered with silver thread and tiny crystals that caught the light like stars. Her hair was styled in loose waves with sapphire pins, and a delicate circlet, matching Ling's, rested on her brow. She looked regal, beautiful, and every inch a future queen despite her humble origins. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Some were admiring, others carried undertones of skepticism. Mon, however, had chosen her weapon carefully. Her gown was a scandalous crimson, the bodice cut so low it barely contained her breasts, with strategic slits up the sides that revealed long, toned legs with every step. She moved through the crowd like a predator, eyes locked on Ling. As the evening progressed, Mon grew bolder. She cornered Ling near the refreshment table while Orm was momentarily distracted by an ambassador's wife asking polite questions about farm life. "Cousin," Mon purred, pressing close enough that her body brushed Ling's arm. "You look magnificent tonight, but surely you must be bored with that plain little wife of yours already. Let me remind you what it feels like to be desired by someone who truly understands royal pleasures." Her fingers trailed lightly down Ling's sleeve, lingering suggestively. "I could slip away with you right now. No one would notice." Ling's expression remained cool, though she did not immediately step away. She was used to court games and knew how to navigate them without causing unnecessary scenes. From across the room, Orm watched the exchange. Jealousy flared hot and sharp in her chest. Mon's shameless flirting, the way she leaned in, the revealing dress that left nothing to imagination. It was deliberate. And Ling wasn't pushing her away as forcefully as Orm wished. The anger that had simmered since the purchase boiled over. Without a word, Orm turned and slipped out of the ballroom through a side door, her heart pounding. She needed air. She needed to be anywhere but watching that woman throw herself at her wife. She found herself in the royal stables, the familiar scent of hay and horses grounding her. The barn was dimly lit by lanterns, quiet except for the occasional soft whinny. Orm leaned against a stall door, breathing deeply, trying to calm the storm inside her. She didn't notice Chen until he spoke. "Orm? Are you all right?" She startled, turning to find him standing a few paces away in his new palace guard uniform. He looked concerned, his kind eyes searching her face. "Chen, What are you doing here? Orm asked, surprised but not unwelcoming at first. I saw you leave the ball. You seemed upset. I thought, maybe you needed a friend. He stepped closer, voice gentle. That woman, Lady Mon, she was being inappropriate. You deserve better than to watch your wife entertain such advances. Orm shook her head, stepping back. You shouldn't be here, Chen. Not when I'm alone like this. People might misunderstand. Ling might misunderstand. It's not right. Chen's expression faltered, pain flickering in his eyes, but he nodded. I only wanted to help. I've always... They both froze at the sound of approaching footsteps. Ling's voice carried faintly from the corridor leading to the stables. Orm? Where are you? Panic flashed across Orm's face. Hide, she whispered urgently to Chen. Quickly, behind the hay bales. Chen hesitated only a second before ducking into the shadows of a large stack of fresh hay, heart hammering. He crouched low, barely breathing. Ling entered the barn moments later, her strides purposeful. She spotted Orm immediately and closed the distance, eyes narrowing. Why did you leave the ball without a word? Ling demanded, voice low but edged with irritation. You are my consort. Your place is at my side, not running off like a sulking child because you dislike the company. Orm's temper ignited. Dislike the company? I dislike watching your cousin practically throw herself into your lap in that whore's dress. You let her flirt shamelessly, touching you, whispering in your ear. Do you enjoy it? Does it amuse you to see me humiliated? Ling's jaw tightened. In 2 quick steps, she closed the gap, grabbing Orm's wrist and pulling her flush against her body. Jealous? Wife? Good. You should be. But do not mistake my tolerance for court politics as interest in Mon. You are the one I chose, the one I married, the one I fuck every night until you forget your own name. Orm tried to yank her arm free, cheeks burning with a mix of anger and unwanted arousal. Let me go, I don't want... Ling didn't let her finish. With surprising strength, she spun Orm around and pushed her down onto a thick pile of soft hay. Orm landed on her back with a soft gasp, the sapphire gown bunching around her thighs. Ling followed immediately, pinning her wrists above her head with one hand, while the other hiked up the heavy skirts. Ling, wait! Orm protested, but her voice lacked conviction. The adrenaline, the jealousy, the constant push-pull between them, it all coalesced into heat low in her belly. No, Ling growled, voice dark with possession. You ran from me. You will not run again tonight. Chen, hidden mere feet away behind the hay bales, could see nothing but heard everything. His fists clenched so tightly his nails bit into his palms. He wanted to burst out, to stop this, but fear and heartbreak rooted him in place. Every sound was torture. Ling's free hand shoved the gown higher, exposing Orm's legs and the thin undergarments beneath. She ripped the delicate fabric aside with impatient fingers, finding Orm already slick despite her protests. Always so ready for me, Ling murmured, sliding 2 fingers through the wetness before pushing them inside without warning. Orm cried out, back arching off the hay. Ling set a punishing rhythm immediately, deep, hard thrusts that made wet sounds echo softly in the quiet barn. Ling! Ah! Orm moaned, hips bucking involuntarily. The anger melted into desperate pleasure as Ling curled her fingers just right, hitting that sensitive spot inside her over and over. You think I want Mon? Ling hissed, leaning down to bite at Orm's exposed neck, leaving a mark that would be visible tomorrow. You are mine, Orm. Purchased or not, you belong to me. Say it. Orm shook her head stubbornly, even as another finger joined the first, stretching her deliciously. I won't. Ling released her wrists only to flip her onto her stomach, pressing her cheek into the hay. She yanked the gown down further, exposing the curve of Orm's ass, and thrust her fingers back in from behind, deeper this way, more possessive. Say it, Ling commanded, her own breathing ragged as she ground against Orm's thigh for friction. You are my wife. My queen. Mine. Orm's resolve crumbled under the relentless pleasure. Yours. I'm yours, she gasped, voice breaking as the first orgasm crashed over her. Her walls clenched around Ling's fingers, body trembling. Ling didn't stop. She continued fucking her through the aftershocks, then shifted to add her thumb against Orm's clit, rubbing tight circles. Again. Come for me again while you remember who owns this body. Chen squeezed his eyes shut, tears burning. The sounds, Orm's broken moans, the slick rhythm of fingers moving inside her, Ling's low possessive growls, were seared into his mind. Every cry of pleasure from the woman he had loved in secret for years felt like a knife twisting in his chest. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe properly, trapped in his hiding place while the woman he adored was claimed so thoroughly by another. Orm came a second time with a muffled sob, body shaking violently. Only then did Ling slow, gently withdrawing her fingers and rearranging Orm's gown with surprising tenderness. She pulled her wife into her arms, kissing the top of her head as they lay together in the hay. "Never run from me again," Ling whispered, voice softer now. "Mon means nothing. You are the one I want by my side." Orm, spent and still catching her breath, could only nod weakly. The anger wasn't gone, but it was quieter, buried under layers of confusion and reluctant desire. Hidden in the shadows, Chen remained motionless long after Ling helped Orm to her feet and led her back toward the palace, arm wrapped possessively around her waist. When the footsteps faded, he finally emerged, face pale and streaked with silent tears. The plan Mon had whispered to him earlier, to comfort Orm, had backfired into pure agony. In the distance, Mon watched from a palace window, a satisfied smile curving her lips. The seeds of doubt had been planted. Ling had seen Orm leave with a man. Orm had been confronted in a compromising position. Whispers would spread. Cracks would form. But for tonight, in the royal chambers, Ling held her wife close, unaware of the eyes and schemes circling them. Orm curled against her, stubborn heart still fighting even as her body surrendered again and again. The game had only just begun.